Decentralization is the key to freeing humanity from governments and their money printing machine. In this way, cryptocurrencies can be the new global revolution. Every cryptocurrency wants to contribute to this revolution in some way. But in this channel, we look at one of the most special ones, named XRP. Hi guys, and welcome back to Crypto Marker. We are here with the hottest economic, financial, and of course cryptocurrency, especially XRP news. World Bank warns of lost decade for global economy. The World Bank is warning of a lost decade ahead for global growth as the war in Ukraine, the COVID-19 pandemic, and high inflation compound existing structural challenges. After 3 decades of mostly fast-paced growth, the global economy may finally be in for a big slowdown, with average potential global economic growth slumping to a 3-decade low of 2.2% per year through 2030, the global lender said in its latest forecast. The Washington, D.C.-based international lender says that it will take a Herculean collective policy effort to restore growth in the next decade to the average of the previous one. 3 main factors are behind the reversal in economic progress: an aging workforce, weakening investment, and slowing productivity. Governments around the world have introduced tax cuts, subsidies, and laws to boost investment, combat climate change, and expand the workforce. But guys, isn't it too late now? I don't think the world is ready to face any financial crisis, especially in big economies, which lead to global recession. Everyone sees the consequences of increasing the workforce that is faced with strong resistance. In France, protesters went against Macron's pension reforms, while China's shrinking population forced local governments to offer cash bonuses for childbirth and permits for more birth. Let me tell you that this frustrating warning comes just weeks after the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank, which sparked turmoil in the US and European banking sectors, where the boss of America's biggest bank warned this turmoil is not yet over and its effects will be felt for years. The financial turmoil that led to the downfall of Silicon Valley Bank in the US and Credit Suisse in Europe is not yet over, and its effects will be felt for years, the boss of America's biggest bank has warned. In an annual letter to J.P. Morgan's shareholders, Jamie Dimon said last month's failure of Silicon Valley Bank and the Swiss government broker takeover of Credit Suisse by its rival UBS had undermined confidence in the banking system. As I write this letter, the current crisis is not yet over, and even when it is behind us, there will be repercussions from it from years to come. J.P. Morgan chief executive has criticized regulators in the wake of the banking turmoil for incentivizing banks to load up on government securities and imposing flawed stress tests. Look guys, this is the weakness of the financial system, that when a bank goes bankrupt, everyone panics and suffers financial loss. This system needs to be adjusted, and I think it is the responsibility of the US and the banking industry to reform the regulations. The turmoil in the banking sector had led investors to price in a greater risk of a US recession, warning that banks were now more likely to show caution when approving new lending for businesses and households, with consequences for an economy already struggling with rate increases. After the failure of Silicon Valley Bank, the stock market has fallen and the market's odds of a recession have increased. Wall Street ends down as weak economic data fuels recession fears. Wall Street closed lower on Tuesday, 4th April, after evidence of a cooling economy exacerbated worries that the Federal Reserve's campaign to rein in decades-high inflation may cause a deep downturn. All three major indexes fell as data showed U.S. job openings in February dropped below 10 million for the first time in nearly 2 years, suggesting that the labor market was cooling, while factory orders fell for a second straight month. The number of job openings has decreased, which makes people worry that hiring is going too slow and that will be bad for the economy. That feeds into recessionary fears, said Sal Bruno, Chief Investment Officer at Index IQ in New York. Bank stocks, including Bank of America and Wells Fargo and Company, dropped by more than 2%, while the S&P 500 Banks Index fell 1.9%, as Diamond warned of the ongoing banking crisis and its lasting impact. The S&P 500 fell 0.58% to 4,100.68 points, while the Nasdaq declined 0.52% to 12,126.33 points, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 0.59% to 33,403.04 points, with 7 out of the 11 S&P 500 sector indexes declining. Caterpillar Inc., viewed as bellwether for the industrial sector, fell 5.4%. Heavyweight chipmaker Nvidia lost 1.8%, weighing more than any other stock on the S&P 500's decline. This was the warning that Diamond gave us. Oil producers' cuts could boost gasoline prices, help Russia. Well, guys, I'm really sorry, but it seems there's no end of bad news. Major oil-producing countries, led by Saudi Arabia, said they're cutting supplies of crude again. This time, the decision was a surprise and is underlying worries about where the global economy might be headed. Russia is joining in by extending its own cuts for the rest of the year. In theory, less oil flowing to refineries should mean higher gasoline prices for drivers and could boost the inflation hitting the US and Europe. And that may also help Russia weather Western sanctions over its invasion of Ukraine at the expense of the US. Swiss government-owned bank Post Finance to offer customers crypto. Post Finance Bank has partnered with the digital bank Signum to offer crypto trading services to its 2.5 million customers. Switzerland is one of the largest retail banks, jumps into the crypto bandwagon by partnering with Signum Bank. The latter announced that the partnership would enable Post Finance's customers to buy, sell, and store leading Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and Litecoin. The community believes that Switzerland is leading the crypto adoption. Switzerland has a reputation for being a crypto-friendly country with a regulatory framework that fosters innovation and attracts cryptocurrency-related businesses. Signum Bank, which obtained a banking license from Swiss regulators 4 years ago, caters to a range of institutions, including cantonal banks and private banks. In my opinion, Post Finance's partnership with Signum Bank to offer cryptocurrency access to its customers is an indication of Switzerland's growing interest in the digital asset class. The move reflects a desire among financial institutions to offer clients access to cryptocurrency and digital assets. And Post-Finance's roadmap for expansion suggests that the partnership could lead to more cryptocurrency services in the future. Maybe Europe can overtake the US in this field, especially with the delay in the Ripple court process. And finally, Ripple versus SEC lawsuit. Attorney Deaton sheds light on Judge Torres' ruling delay. The Ripple versus SEC lawsuit continues to drag on, with Judge Analisa Torres once again delaying her final verdict. Ripple attorney John Deaton shed light on the delay and explained in a video that Judge Torres wants to examine carefully all the details before making a final decision. But this delay has had bad effects. Let me say the delay has caused uncertainty and frustration among XRP investors as they fear that the prolonged legal battle will negatively affect the price of the cryptocurrency. Deaton believes that the pressure on the judge, especially from the XRP community, is something she has never experienced in her entire career. He also stated that this could be Judge Torres' biggest decision in her career, as it could have a significant impact on the finance industry. He further explained that Ripple is putting pressure on the judge by providing information from various sources, including the SEC's conduct, the Supreme Court's fair notice, Binance, and the CFTC. Despite the delay, Deaton urged patience as the lawsuit is approaching its end. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and watch our other videos to know more about XRP, Ripple, and all world's economic news.